Starting a new chapter today on similar triangles. And before we really get into the geometry, we're going to review some algebra and really even some middle school math that you need to know. Do you remember what a ratio is? A ratio is basically a fraction, right? A ratio compares two numbers. Compares two numbers. And a ratio can be written three ways actually. I'll use some numbers like 1/2 is a ratio written as a fraction. 1.2 is another way to write that, or literally with the word 2, 1 to 2. But anyway we write our ratios or our fractions, you'll remember we always reduce them to simplest form. So if I have the fraction 8/36, do you remember how to reduce it? Right, you look for a number that goes into both 8 and 36. So 4 goes into 8 twice, and 4 goes into 36 9 times, so 2/9. You should be able to do this in your head pretty easily. What goes into both 24 and 27? 3 goes into both of them, so 8/9. 24 and 36. Bigger the number, the easier it is, right? 2/3. If you said, well, maybe they're both divisible by 2, then you might have to reduce it again. You don't have to write this down. I'm just writing that we're dividing top and bottom by 11, so 3/4. It's my hope that you could say, hey, 15 goes into 45 3 times, 15 goes into 60 4 times, or 4 goes into 16 4 times, and 4 goes into 25 times. Don't forget that if one of the numbers actually is what you're dividing by, that you're going to need a 1 to hold that spot. And then 30 to 24, those are both divisible by 6, so we're going to write it as 5/4. And you're writing the answer in the same way the problem was written. There's some unit conversions that you know from growing up, right? You should know that there are how many inches in a foot? Right, 12. How many feet in a yard? Right, 3. And how many feet in a mile? That one people don't always know, 5,280. And you don't have to know that one, but you do have to know that there are 12 inches in a foot. So if I have 3 feet, how many inches is that? Right, 36. If I have 24 inches, how many feet is that? If every 12 inches is 1 foot, 24 inches is 2 feet. If there are 3 feet in a yard and I have 2 yards, then I have 3 plus 3 or 6 feet, right? And if I have 9 feet, 9 divided by 3 is 3 yards. And that should feel comfortable to you. Not as comfortable to us is the metric system, right? And I use this Kangaroos, Hop Ditches, Most Don't Catch Mini Mice as a way to remember kilo, hecto, deca, and then you have the base, which is like the meter, and then you have deci, centi, and millimeter. So there are 10 millimeters in a centimeter. There are 100 centimeters in a meter and 1,000 meters in a kilometer. And you surely have done this in science. So if we have 9 meters and there's 100 centimeters in 1 meter, there are 900 centimeters in 9 meters. And sometimes I do these hops where you could say I could start at meters and hop 2 places to the right, 2 hops, meaning I add 2 zeros. Or 320 millimeters, I'm hopping back one to centimeters, so I hop my decimal back 1 to 32 centimeters. Similarly, 4 centimeters hops 1 to the right is 40 millimeters. And 38 centimeters hops 1, 2 back for meters, so 0.38 meters. So being able to convert units. Now we kind of do these ratios where we got to convert the units first, then reduce the fraction. 4 days, 2 weeks. First I have to get them both in days. How many days are in 2 weeks? You're right, 14 days in 2 weeks. Then I'm going to divide both sides by 2, so I get 2 days over 7 days. Inches and feet, 10 inches, 3 feet. How many inches in 3 feet? Right, 36 inches. Then I reduce that 5 inches over 18 inches. And inches is still part of the answer. So you convert the units first, then reduce the fraction. Sometimes you have a choice, like 6 yards, 9 feet. You could go either way. It's probably a little bit easier to make 9 feet into 3 yards. And then you can reduce it to 2 over 1. And if you want to just write yards once, you can. 1 meter is 100 centimeters over 60 centimeters, and that's going to reduce to, maybe I'll reduce it to 10 over 6 first, and then 5 over 3 centimeters. So we convert first, then reduce. The last thing we're going to talk about is a proportion. A proportion is 2 equal fractions, or 2 equal ratios, and we solve proportions by an old friend. Do you remember? Cross multiply. Cross multiply, aka the butterfly method. 12 times x equals 60 times 4. Now I don't even always multiply out the 60 times 4, especially if I don't have a calculator. I can just write it as 60 times 4 divided by 12, and then I can cross cancel, like 4 goes into 12 3 times, 3 goes into 60, final answer is 20. So cross canceling kind of is helpful. Here, if I do my butterfly method here, 4 times x equals 9 times 16. I'm not even gonna multiply that together. I'm just gonna cross cancel. 4 goes into 16 4 times. 9 times 4, 36. If it's written in a different way, so this is written with the dots, the first number is the numerator, second number is denominator. First number is numerator, second number is denominator. When I cross multiply, I get 3x equals 20, and divide by 3, and I could just leave my answer like that, 20 over 3. It doesn't always come out even. Last one, x over 5 equals 3 over 8. I don't think this one's going to come out even either. 8x equals 15, and my final answer there would be 15 over 8. So all of this you've seen before many times, probably starting as early as 5th and 6th grade, but we review it here, ratios and proportions.